I switched once again to so-called high-intensity training. Natural athlete. So once again, this is a training scheme for development of glycolytic muscle fibers. Now we are describing training session B, where we are performing the exercise for the upper body, and we are also performing some sustaining work for legs. As I have already said, there is no need to go high load, heavy weight for legs, for example, when you do the sustaining work, because higher reps, less weight will also do fine if and only if you are able to reach failure with smaller weights, and this is way more exhausting than doing so with heavy weights, because as many studies show, that imposes a huge stress on the nervous system. So it is a trade-off, and be ready to take that decision. All I can say, this is the second video describing this training session. I have been following this routine for 3 months. And those were the 3 months of the most linear progress in my life. If it wasn't for the closed gym in the place where I study, then I probably would even go further. But it matters not, because I certainly know when everything works correctly and fine once again, I will switch to this training protocol. And I will progress way faster than I did before when I was simply performing high volume schemes.
So today we are warming up now, and today we are filming the session for the upper body when it comes to training glycolytic muscle fibers. So we are starting today with a pullover, then we are switching to the incline bench press. Usually we do after that some leg work, but recently I have got leg trauma. I rolled my leg bicep a bit, so today instead of doing sets of legs in between with sets for upper body, we will be doing active rest in order to decrease the amount of hydrogen ions in the muscle tissue. We start with the pullover, we do a lot of negative exercise, and we do forced reps. The thing is to warm up the chest and back. Now we switch to the incline bench press. And the main intensification technique that we are going to exploit is the forced reps and rest pose, because they will lead to increased stress for neural system, and at the same time they do not lead for increased concentration of hydrogen ions in the muscle. So the rep sets, we use them to make the accent as the failure, but still the usage of supersets and drop sets is limited. 1-2 reps to reach the proper failure. So, full body trainings is so effective because it leads to an increased concentration of anabolic hormones in the blood. So I do just one stimulating set for my quads, or it will impose a huge stress on neural system. Still failure. Ten seconds rest, and once again. Ten minutes have passed, so we are repeating the cycle, the first cycle, which consists of pullover, incline bench press, and some leg work in between or aerobic session. And then we repeat it. The main thing is not the amount of repetitions, it is the time under tension, the time you struggle with the resistance of the bar. Negative reps, they prolong that period. What is more, there are scientific studies that show that eccentric phase of the movement deals more damage to the muscle fiber. So, when doing active rest, I'm following and I'm checking it. So 5 minutes of this low intensity aerobic work leads to increased utilization of those hydrogen ions from upper body in the mitochondria in the legs. So if you are not able, for some reason, do intermediate set for legs of heavy work with extreme resistance, you can do an aerobic session in between sets. But if it wasn't for my leg trauma, I mean the leg biceps, I would be doing leg press and some work for the calves. You can move the arms in order to activate low threshold muscle fibers that are usually oxidative, and mitochondria in those fibers at 2 also will be utilizing hydrogen ions from the muscle tissue. In each movement, it is of extreme importance that you do a proper warm-up. That is the most efficient way to avoid injury, and nobody wants to be injured. The second cycle consists of lateral pull-downs. Usually I prefer to use the reverse grip in order to, well, make the accent for the lower part of the back muscles. And then we are switching for the hammer press, because I seek to improve the inner part of chest. That's how we do it. That is approximately 50 seconds under pressure. That is failure. Aerobic session once again. Make the rest between sets smaller. Everything. Macronutrients. The amount of work done with resistance. Time between sets. Time between training sessions. Everything must be recorded. The third cycle consists of seated cable rows. You can change them, for example, for T-bar rows. And then I move to the pack deck machine, or I do cable flies. I love the pack deck machine because it was invented by Arthur Jones, and you can see that the form of the rotating part replicates that of Nautilus. and that is the reason for the name of those machines. They reduce the tension all across the movement, that way that it is stable over the range of motion. It is very important to contract the muscle in the upper point of the movement. I'm already tired. We use a big weight to activate high threshold motor units. Warm-up happens between sets, not during them. You don't want to enter a fight during the warm-up in order to enter another fight, which is your working set. You should be fighting during the working set. So save strength, mental power. The fourth cycle consists of weighted dips and some work for the bicep. Would you help me to release the tension once I'm done? Well, it was planned that we do 3 cycles for arms. But the thing is that I'm already so exhausted. I feel no strength left in my muscles. So I suppose we will finish with just 2 cycles for arms. And it is still developing, that means stimulating growth session, which causes the most amount of damage to myofibrils. The amount of sets then can be substantially reduced if you are doing a sustaining session, which will happen in 2 weeks after that, this session. The thing is that you have to force yourself mentally to go into each set and reach the failure there. The volume is the growth factor, it is. But the most important thing is the failure, because it imposes the stress for the neural system and leads to the release of anabolic hormones. But that stress can be only reached mentally. So you've got to enter the fighting set. We're fighting here, actually. 4 straps, guys. The main thing here is to contract the muscle in the upper point. The thing is that in the upper point, the gravity vector is not removed. So the upper point is one of the most hardest points. And it is exactly when all the muscles in the biceps are contracted. So the contraction point is the most important point of the exercise in my point of view, all together with the eccentric phase. The last cycle consists of cable extensions and then some conventional curls for biceps. bicep curls. Then I will end up with some hammer work. That's all for today, folks. Stay tuned.